And delighted to welcome everyone formally to today's webinar, Modernising the IVR. I'm Rachel and I'll be your webinar chairperson today. So delighted to welcome two brilliant speakers to their first webinars with us, to Steve Hindley from iNarrator and IVR Recordings. Welcome, Steve.
Hi, Rachel. Thanks for having me.
And for people who missed your introduction before, do you want to share your introduction?
Sure. So I'm the customer experience consultant for iNarrator and IVR Recordings, and we help clients completely reimagine and redesign their IVR experience to bring it up to date and take advantage of any integrations that are available through either a new technology, contact center technology that they're putting out there. We do that in a number of sectors, so finance, local authority, housing associations, hospitality and retail. And it's about improving the customer experience, reducing operating costs and promoting channel shift. Really, they're the main points.
Brilliant. Well, welcome. And also welcome to Fernando Santos from TalkDesk to his first webinar with us. Welcome.
Thank you, Rachel. Glad to be here.
Well, glad you could be here. And for people who also missed your introduction, do you want to share a bit about yourself?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm Fernando. I'm product marketing manager at TalkDesk. And for those of you who don't know the company that well, we are a CCaaS provider headquartered in San Francisco, but also with offices in the UK and Portugal. And we're currently serving around 1,800 plus customers throughout more than 75 countries.
Brilliant. Well, looking forward to hearing from both of you. Just a reminder that we are running the discussion this week in our chat room. It already seems to be flying, so I would definitely recommend joining in the chat there. You can join in on www.callcenterhelper.com/chat, or we have a short term which is just cch.chat that you can type into your browser. And the first added bonus of being in there is that you can download a copy of both our speakers' slides. They're available on this link up here. And you can also join in the quiz, which we're running later on between our two speakers' presentations. And you just need to use these buttons at the bottom when we come to it. It is in a separate window, but hopefully you can put the webinar on one side and the chat room on the other, or a lot of people now use their mobile phones to be able to run the chat room and take part in the quiz a bit later. We are taking a recording of today's webinar, and that will be available later on this afternoon on callcenterhelper.com/recorded-webinars. Another added advantage of being in the chat room is that we are running our bottle of champagne, box of chocolates, or an Amazon gift voucher for the best tip. You just need to write #tip to share your tips for improving the IVR, or #question to ask our panel a question, and we will be coming to those later on. So might get into the main body of the presentation and hand over to Steve. So if I make you the presenter, there we go.
There we go.
Fab, I can see your screen.
Fantastic. Yeah, so thank you for inviting me along today. So my part of the webinar today will be looking at how the caller journey is impacted by the IVR and how to create a better first impression. I think this slide sums up what customer experience should be. It's not about the technology, it's about customers feeling understood and confident in dealing with your organization, and that the IVR is a coherent part of your brand and provides as much as possible a frictionless experience, so that when somebody does call in, you know, they have a better experience. IVRs we come across have certain issues, which I'm sure a lot of people will be aware of. And traditional IVRs are a linear journey, so it means that the caller comes in and no matter what their inquiry, they have the same experience, so they have the same options presented to them, and at some point, hopefully, they'll get through to the right department. So many IVRs have too many options and they're structured around internal departments using industry jargon that makes no sense to a customer, and that negatively impacts the customer experience. And also what we found is that they're an isolated channel, so it's not connected with the other digital systems that you've got, such as live chat and email, which means that there's no customer data there to improve that experience in the IVR. And often the information and the messages that's on there are out of date, and the audio quality is quite poor. So obviously at the moment with COVID, people are reviewing their messaging more often, which is great. So it means that more of these errors are being uncovered and resolved. And the last thing that most IVRs don't offer is a self-service option. So they're issues that we need to think about as we're going through today, and we'll cover them off. You might not think of it like this, but your IVR is made up of several parts. So there's the technology side, and that needs to work in harmony with everything else to give the customer a better experience. The technology is the contact center platform that you're operating on. This could be an on-premise system, or it could be a cloud solution. And this really defines the functionality that you've got available to you. And cloud solutions such as TalkDesk, I'm sure Fernando will go into more detail than I am, but it's more configurable, and there's much more integrations, which improves that customer journey. And integrations with CRM and other back office systems is really important about being able to pull customer data and provide a customized experience to callers. The tone of voice and the language that you use in your messaging is also really important, because that sets the tone for the whole conversation with your agent if they are connected to an agent. And the voice style and the actual audio quality. So the voice style is whether it's a male or a female voice, how old they are, their accent, and the speed of delivery, and all those audio qualities as well. That's all put together around a framework of call flows. And call flows at the moment in traditional IVRs, as I said, they have that linear flow, and what we're often doing with clients now is producing multiple call flows based around certain inquiry types or journey types, which makes it a much more pleasant experience for callers. And we're often asked, well, why does it matter? And it really matters because every customer is impatient. Until recently, everybody had very little spare time. I know people on furlough have got a bit more time now, but the customer is always looking to save time and have a quicker interaction with brands. And it's about retaining existing customers and gaining new customers. Happy customers are loyal customers, and they're more likely to spend more money with you. So improving the IVR experience is obviously part of retaining your existing customer base. And improving the contact center is often the efficiency, of the contact center is often an overlooked part. So you don't have to answer every call with a live agent. If you implement some sort of self-service or channel deflection, you can move a percentage of your inbound calls away online and deal with that inquiry in a much more efficient way for you and for the customer as well. It's not about making life harder for the customer, it's about giving them options where they can self-serve via more relevant methods. And again, if your agents are not dealing with frustrated callers, they're having a better experience. You're going to reduce agent churn, and they're just going to be dealing with more complex inquiries, which challenges them more, and they're more likely to stay in the role. And according to a survey by Gartner, in the next 2 years, 81% of companies will be competing mostly or completely on customer experience. So this is something you need to get ahead of now, so you're way ahead of the competition when it comes around time. So we wanted to give you some pointers so you can go away and review your own IVR internally. As some people pointed out, if you can get your CEO to do this, or anybody higher up in the organization to do it with you, then that's great, because they understand your pain points and also your callers' pain points as well. Common things that we look at when we're providing reviews for potential clients are lengthy welcome messages and compliance messages. In some industries such as finance and insurance, obviously compliance messages are a bit more onerous and there has to be more information in there. But there are ways around that, and we have techniques that can reduce the burden and the length of those messages on callers. So review the navigation time, both at the top of the tree and then all the way through it until you're into the call queue. Next, look at the main menu options and how they're structured. Is it just internal departments that are listed, or are you actually basing the options around customer inquiries, which make more sense to them? And how many layers do you have under that? So how many sub-menus have you got that are presenting different options to callers? If you've got more than three sub-menus in your IVR that are nested under each other, challenge you to find a better way and a more logical way to structure your IVR there. Again, look at the messaging that you're giving out. Is it on brand? Is the information that you're providing in the IVR messages correct? And does that need to be updated? And also, once somebody's selected their option and they're in the call queue to speak to an agent, what happens there? Are they listening to the same 30 seconds of music on loop for 5 minutes whilst they're waiting in the call queue? Or do you have a better experience, some better music and some messaging that's in there? Again, if you're playing the same message apologising for being in the call queue every 30 seconds, that's a surefire way to frustrate callers. And then just look at your KPIs, so the call wait times, call queue times, agent handle time, abandoned calls and where they're abandoning. So are they abandoning in the IVR because the messages don't mean anything to them, or are they abandoning in the call queue because they've got fed up after 10 minutes of waiting in the call queue? So looking at your metrics can really help you figure where the room for improvement is. So Rachel, I think we've got the first poll coming up, which is looking at what kind of first impression your IVR creates.
Yes, so I will share that now. So we are asking, have I launched it? There we go. On a scale of 1 to 5, what kind of first impression does your IVR, can't see it, create? There we go. 5, a perfect first impression. 4, a good first impression. 3, an average first impression. 2, a substandard first impression, or 1, it really needs some work. So Steve, what sort of results do you think we're going to have if you were a betting person?
I'll probably go for the safe bet and go down the middle as probably a 3, maybe a 2. Needs a bit of work. 2.5.
Fernando, would you agree with that one?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think first impressions is what count, right? So you should aim for 5. Absolutely.
So I will share the results, and yeah, you were both right. 58% saying 3, an average first impression. Then it was 26% saying 4, a good first impression. Joint was 8%, was 2, a substandard first impression, and 1, it needs some work. And only 1% of people saying 5, a perfect first impression. Steve, what are your thoughts on that outcome?
Yeah, as I said, that's pretty much what I expected. It's good to see that people have voted for 4, and that's probably above what I was expecting. So that's great. That's really good to see.
Fab. So I will hand back control if I can find it. There we go. Fab. So that was out of 176 people who were polled.
Great. Yeah, so moving on, what we wanted to do is give you some quick fixes that you could take away from today. So if you're in that category of 3 or below who's just voted, these are techniques that you can use and look at internally to improve the caller experience. So first of all, take a walk in your customer's shoes, as somebody mentioned before in the chat room. Pick up your mobile phone, take your corporate hat off, put your personal hat on, and experience it from a customer's point of view. Forget all the terminology and all the internal understanding that you have, and really try and view it with a fresh pair of eyes and see how it feels for a customer calling in. Do the options make sense? Are the messages up to date? especially at the moment. You know, you've got a very good opportunity if you're struggling with handling high call volumes, or there are certain information messages you need to get out there due to COVID, then updating your IVR and including those messages to keep people informed and just abreast of what's going on is really important. For example, a lot of housing associations we're working with, they're only responding to emergency call-outs at the moment, and that's being presented in the IVR upfront, so people's expectations are managed. And then look at the number of voices you've got on your system. It's not uncommon for us to do a benchmarking review for a client, and they'll have 5 different voices across the IVR system. And obviously that isn't a single brand experience. And then how are they recorded? How do they sound? Is it good quality audio, or are they recorded in the corner of the office with lots of background noise by a member of the team? Because that all impacts on that first impression. If you are looking at if you've got any of those issues, then you're making your customers, callers, work harder than they should be. And you're putting the burden on customers. Just to point out, something that we often find is if you've got 9 options in your main menu, then it's more than likely that it'll be around 60 to 90 seconds to read through all of those options, by which time somebody gets to the end, they'll be thinking, oh, was it option 3 or was it option 4 that I needed to press? And as soon as you say, for any other inquiry, press 0, they're likely to press 0 and try and circumnavigate the whole system. So again, look at your KPIs and look at which options are being selected within the IVR. And if most people are going for anything else, or I'm not sure, that option, that last option, then you've got an issue and you need to rework your IVR messages for sure. And I think we've got another poll coming up, not around that surprisingly, but it's around who recorded your voice prompts.
Yes, so let me launch that one. So yes, we are asking who recorded the messages on your IVR system. Was it a team member in the contact center? Was it a team member in a studio? Was it computer-generated voice messages? Was it outsourced professional voice recording service? Or we don't have an IVR system. So we've done this as a multiple choice, just in case you have different options. So Steve, what are you hoping to see?
I'm hoping that people have a professional voice record their messages, but from our experience, I would say that it's probably a team member in the contact center, or on the odd occasion, the computer generated voice that comes with the system.
I think you can see my screen, because yep, 52% say outsourced professional voice recording service, then followed by 38% saying a team member in the contact center. Just sneaking ahead, 12% a team member in the studio, 11% saying computer generated voice message, and 1% said we don't have an IVR system. Steve, hopefully that was exactly what you wanted to see.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to see that people are taking team members into a studio. Obviously the audio quality will be better if they're doing that, so that's good to see.
Yeah. So if you want to take us through the final part of your presentation.
Fantastic. Yeah, so they're so we've looked at who has recorded your prompts, and we wanted to look at the impact that the IVR system has by looking at the voice and the music that is on there. It really sets the tone for the rest of the conversation as well. So if your voice doesn't reflect your brand, then you've got that disconnect. So if you call a company and the phone messages are quite clearly being recorded by several members of the team, it's not a professional first impression. Whereas if all the messages have been recorded by the same professional voiceover and there's a consistent sound, it provides reassurance that you're dealing with a reputable company. And again, it carries on that brand experience from your website and other marketing material that you might have. The other advantage with a professional voiceover is you get a consistent and steady delivery of each message. So what we find is when people record their own messages, is one message will be quite fast and speaking at 100 miles an hour, and then the other message might be very slow, but also very quiet as well, and that change in volume isn't a nice experience for callers. If you record with a professional, whether they were recorded, whether messages were recorded 6 months ago or 6 days ago, there'll be a consistent sound to them. There won't be any background noise, and it'll really match up whenever it was recorded. And again, looking at the cue music as well, so it should fit your brand. So think about the tempo, the rhythm, the instrumentation that you've got on there. Does it complement the experience, or is it detracting from it? So there are things to think about from a sound issue, a sound point of view. And then moving on to the actual language that you're using and the tone of voice that you're using in the system. I'm sure everybody's come across the phrases that are here on screen. You know, how many times do you call the company and they say that the options have recently changed, and it's been like that for 6 months, and I'm sure they're not changing their options that many times within 6 months. I think the phrases that are on screen here are outdated, and I'd quite happily ban them if we could do from use anywhere. So that's what we would err against, and this is what we would recommend people go with. So here are your options. It's just nice and straightforward. It means that if you don't update your IVR on a regular basis, you've not got that message there saying these options have recently changed. And it's just a much more natural conversational tone to the messaging. And we're using positive phrases here, and we're not over apologizing, which is quite common on IVR systems, that we'll, certainly in the call queue, we'll apologize for keeping people waiting. What we would rather do is offer them a positive solution. So you can request a callback. And again, this is linked to technology as well. So having that technology built into your contact center and being able to offer that to callers is really important, so that they can, instead of waiting 5 minutes in the queue, they can press 1 and their call's returned as soon as they reach the front of the queue. And also looking at the channel shift messaging, so where people can self-serve online, so delivery updates might be able to be pushed out via email or SMS. So promoting that via the IVR is a really good way to encourage sign-ups to that. So this all leads up to modernising your IVR and really creating a better contact centre experience for your customers. As I said at the start, traditional IVRs have one starting point and multiple endpoints in certain departments, and it's really designed around one linear journey. What we should be looking to achieve is understand why the customer is calling and personalising the caller journey based upon you know, the information we have about that customer. And this requires integration to your CRM systems and any other back office systems to give context to that call. For example, one of our clients offers a VIP club. So they, if you sign up to be a VIP, your record in the CRM is tagged as a VIP, and they put in your mobile number. So when you dial the IVR cross-reference your phone number with the CRM and says, yes, this person is a VIP. They then circumnavigate the IVR completely and are either put in the call queue or put straight through to an agent. And that's a much nicer experience for them, and people are willing to pay for that experience because, you know, they don't want to listen to IVR options and really waste time in that way. Another good example at the moment would be in the banking industry. So if a customer calls their bank and they've got a loan application in at the moment, the system can recognize their mobile number and then present the caller with the option to speak to the loans team directly. So it could be, thank you for calling ABC Bank. We realise that you've got a loan application at the moment. Is that the reason you're calling? Press 1 for yes or 2 for no. If they press 1, that's great. They can be put straight through to the loans team. If they press no, then you can offer them a more customised journey, whether they're a business customer or a personal customer. So things like that are where you should be heading towards, and the customisation of the IVR. And omni-channel and integrating with the other systems that you have, the ability to pick up and hand off from one channel to the other seamlessly is really where you should be heading. So like being able to offload from live chat to a phone call or vice versa just creates a fantastic customer experience for somebody. It means that your agents don't have to ask the customer all the same questions that they've just relayed via live chat when they pick up the call. So it can speed up your agent handle time as well. And self-service through the IVR, so integrating with your CRM system and other back office systems. Simple inquiries such as, where's my delivery? What's my balance? How can I make a payment? Can I make a payment over the phone now? All technologies like that can be integrated into the IVR. And I'm sure Fernando will be sharing some case studies with us shortly on that side of things. And channel shift as well, integrating with SMS to push people to go online, or self-serve via a portal is really important, so that people have access to the right information at the right time, so they can either choose to self-serve if they want to. If not, they can still hold on the line and speak to an agent. And that's all got to be part of your integrated customer experience strategy. So if you've got a digital transformation strategy at the moment, your IVR system, should definitely be part of that, and it needs to be brought under the same umbrella so that all the systems can talk to each other, and you've got that one view of the customer, and you can customize each journey into the IVR. So that's it from me on the customer experience side. I'll hand back to you, Rachel.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Steve. So we're going to be coming to our quiz in a moment. So to take part, you need to be in our chat room on callcenterhelper.com/chat. Oh dear. So while you're there, maybe you could share in 1 or 2 words, what did you like best about Steve's presentation? So for me, the key takeaways was to experience your own IVR. Does it make sense to your customers, or is it just full of jargon? Use positive messages on your IVR. You know, where can they find information? You know, can they ask for a call back? You know, don't always apologize. And, you know, is your IVR on brand? You know, is it the right voice style, tone, language? Are you using the right music? So a lot of brilliant information there. Thank you very much for that, Steve.
You're welcome. Hopefully it's not too much information to take in.
No, it was very good. So we are going to go over to our quiz in a second. So I can see that we've got about half the audience. So you just need to go to callcenterhelper.com/chat and get ready to vote with the buttons below. So you just need to press according to what the question is. So I'm going to start that. So first question, true or false? 30% of companies using a traditional IVR reported a somewhat negative effect on their customer experience. Is it A, true, or is it B, false? So you just need to use the A or B button at the bottom of the chat room. So let's wait for some votes to come in. So yeah, got quite a few voting now. Last few seconds, I'm going to press next. So the winner of this will get a bottle of champagne, box of chocolates, or an Amazon gift voucher. So definitely worth taking part. So yep, the answer was A, true. So I think most of you got that one. This is according to Contact Babel research, although this figure dropped to less than 25% for IVRs that use speech recognition technology. So yeah. So question 2, what percentage of contact centres have never reviewed and updated their IVR? This was according to a survey we did. Is it A, 10%, B, 20%, C, 30%, or D, 40%? So, yeah, quite a few people voting now. And yeah, I'll click next. So actually, most people not getting this one right. The actual answer was A, 10%. Thankfully, just 10% of contact centres have never reviewed and updated their IVR systems. 26% had done so within the past month. That was a poll we did previously. So slight change at the top. So which of the following IVR practices would Steve not recommend? Was it A, presenting IVR messages in order of importance? Was it B, alternating male and female voices? Was it C, customizing voice and language styles for different call queues? Or was it D, apologizing repeatedly in the call queue? So which of the following did Steve not recommend? So got a few more to go. Last few seconds. And yep, most people were listing Steve. You'll be pleased to know. Yeah, it is apologizing repeatedly in the call queue. So in one call center helper article, Steve says, when a company apologizes all the time in every message the caller hears, it wears thin very quickly. So the final question is, which company once played cue music containing the lyrics, I think it's going to be a long, long time? Was it A, DPD, was it B, Hermes, or was it C, the post office, or was it D, FedEx? Which company once played cue music containing the lyrics, I think it's going to be a long, long time? Oh dear. So final few. Yeah, and most people getting that right. It was C, the post office. After a message stating, "Thank you for calling, you're being held in a queue and will be answered shortly," came the lyrics from Elton John's Rocket Man, much to the customer's dismay. So the winner is Julie43. Well done to you, Julie. We will be in touch after the webinar to sort out your prize. So going over to our top tips and questions, we've had a lot coming in from our chat room, so let's see if we can whiz through a few of these. So Tara said, we've been using custom messages for specific areas that will have an overnight outage. We no longer come into angry voicemails in the morning, which is great. Claire said, keep the IVR simple. Too much complexity and customers will get frustrated and choose any option just to get through to someone. Steve, I think this is exactly what you were saying.
Yeah, definitely. It's always best to present a logical and the most simple options to people.
Yeah. So Varine's had a question. They've said, have you found that the callback feature in the IVR has been effective in the industry for customers? Fernando, I don't know whether you want to take this one.
Yeah. As far as you know, the opinions of our customers have been, it is indeed effective, especially, and I guess it's inevitable in times like the ones we are facing right now, where there's that need of deflecting the spikes of traffic, and the callback really comes into play and has been a useful tool for many customers of ours.
Yeah, brilliant. So a few more tips. Nigel said, manage customer expectations at the start of the IVR, explaining whether they're totally self-service or not. Not many companies do. Varine said, align the IVR to the customer and not categorize everyone in the same bucket, i.e. patient, member, healthcare provider, internal employee, etc. Cindy said, consider polling your callers on the IVR experience. Theirs is the opinion that counts. Perhaps include freeform comments for more detailed information. Steve, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we often do set up surveys on the current IVRs before we redesign them to find out what the callers' issues are, and then we go back and do that afterwards as well, and make sure that we've resolved those issues and we actually haven't created any other issues as well. So you know, it's okay solving some issues, but if it creates others, then that's not a good place to be. So I think surveying before and after is always super important to prove the effectiveness.
Yeah, and Fernando, I'm sure you would agree.
Absolutely, totally agree. I'll actually touch into that a little bit during my presentation, so stay tuned.
Fab. Well, we'll take a few more tips and then we'll come over to you. Cindy's trying to win the prize. She said, consider your customer demographic when designing and recording your IVR. Varine, bit of a battle between the two, says, offer customers an upfront upfront a survey to eliminate the need for an agent to present a survey to a caller that may not have a good experience in the IVR or the agent. So Kerry said, benchmark your IVR for agility, tone of voice, terminology, etc. Use this in conjunction with call flow data, transfer rates, and understanding reason for contact. It's often the scripting that lets an IVR down rather than platforms and technology. Yeah, Fernando, I know that you're coming on to, you've mentioned a bit of scripting earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, it's true, and I guess this tip from Kerry is a really on point. Like when he says use this in conjunction with call flow data, I mean that truly is a really good tip. I mean, having the systems integrated, bringing all that data to base your routing decisions, it's so important.
Brilliant. Well, I think this is a great opportunity to hand over to you, Fernando, for you to take us through your presentation. So there we go. Great, I can see your screen.
Thank you, Rachel. So thank you for having me. I'm really glad to be here, and hopefully I can add some value to the session. You know, to show you essentially what is TalkDesk's vision of a modern IVR. And so I am, just like we said previously, I'm a product marketing manager for TalkDesk's IVR and routing product studio. But without further ado, let's jump right in. Just to start off, a little bit of history about ourselves for those of you who don't know us that well. TalkDesk was born in 2011. Actually, the company was initially created during a hackathon where our CEO and founder, Tiago Paiva, developed the first version of what is now TalkDesk. And it was all done under the still enduring promise of being able to set up a contact center in just 5 minutes. That's a great story that just set the stage for a number of accomplishments that include being named leaders in Gartner's Magic Quadrants for Contact Center as a Service, reaching a team of 1,000+ employees, and now offering TalkDesk CX Cloud, which is an end-to-end customer experience solution with the broadest set of native apps, the most reliable, secure, scalable, and extensible cloud platform, also along with white glove services to ensure business success. Still on that history note, obviously we're amidst industry experts here, and I do not want to give everyone an exhausting history lesson. I just brought this brief timeline about the IVR so we can all think a little bit of how far we have come. Some of you might say, yeah, but the IVR's core functionality hasn't changed that much since it was first introduced in the 70s. That is partially true. You still have a set of options that are communicated to a caller who then uses an input, whether via pressing a number or directly through voice to direct himself towards his goal. And despite these core similarities, the IVR is still today the central piece of a contact center operation. So in my opinion, the biggest difference between the old IVR and the modern IVR we're talking about today, it's what surrounds it, the technology stack that surrounds it, to be more precise. So obviously, Steve already provided us with some great tips and best practices on how to set up your IVR messages, how you should have them properly written, a very good script to guide your customers, and even that background music that we still have to use here and there, hopefully not the one from Elton John. But all this should be carefully selected and put in place. And why? Essentially because, like you see here, every moment is an experience that matters. So just like that first IVR of the 70s was effective, or sort of, because it was delivering according to the needs of customers from that era, the IVR of today needs to be adaptable. And mostly because the customer has changed significantly. In today's contact center operations, customers are demanding real-time, seamless, and intelligent service. So just like Steve mentioned that you need to be updating IVR messages or constantly looking at scripts to ensure you're up to date and that your IVR experience is delivering all those meaningful brand experiences to your customers, you also need to have the proper technology to be able to put all that into place timely. So you want to ensure speed of response to both your ever-evolving customers, to an economy that is not stagnant, and now more than ever, you should favor technology that allows you to tackle challenges that may affect your business continuity. Where I would like to focus our attention today is on the technology side of the contact center operation. I guess, you know, I'm really passionate about technology. We all are at TalkDesk. So when I had to pick an angle for today's presentation, the choice was pretty easy. What I will illustrate to all of you is essentially three things. How innovation allows you to explore alternative paths for an IVR experience, how the surrounding system environment may affect your operation, and I'd like to show you as well how some of our customers are leveraging our innovation to respond to business continuity challenges and at the same time still ensure they're providing extraordinary service. So for that first pillar, the innovation side of an IVR, we feel it's important to being able to explore alternative ways for your customers to interact. Today, IVR innovations include capabilities like speech recognition, so customers can navigate themselves quite easily through menus without having just the classic press button to interact. This is also an important enabler for self-service. And you remember that ever-evolving customer who wants to solve things on his own? Here's where innovation comes into play. And also from our own perspective, automation is super important. If you're allowing a customer to solve his inquiries autonomously, just through a few automated steps that use his context and his history of interactions, surely you'll be dramatically improving all those key KPIs. And automation takes me exactly to that second pillar you see there, the system environment. And when I speak about the system environment, I'm referring to all those surrounding systems that might be able to feed crucial information your IVR could use to solve all those inquiries faster than ever. So you should favor a unified operation with a CRM that is feeding accurate information about the customer directly to the IVR or even to the agent, if that's the case. Also with a collaboration tool to keep teams permanently updated on any ongoing process, or even to send out automated notifications whenever a VIP customer is on the line. Steve also told us a little bit about a case like this, or an order management system that you could leverage to directly inform a caller about the ETA of an order straight from the IVR, just to name a few examples. These are just a few of how you should equip your IVR with as many information streams as you can. And that last one pillar there, how technology will enable not just your IVR, but your whole operation, especially to respond to any challenges that you might throw at it. And for this, I thought the best I can do is to show you some real examples. So let's take a look at Orlando-based Power DMS, customer of ours. They are a document management solutions provider who had to ensure their customers were informed and supported during a hurricane threat last year. And their story feels so incredibly relevant today. During that hurricane threat, many Power DMS employees had to shift also to a work from home environment, so they had to react quickly to change their IVR prompts and routing rules. So they quickly deployed a custom message in the IVR to set expectations for their customers that the hurricane could be affecting their response time. But overall, it's just a great example of how technology should enable your speed of response. And Steve, and I guess this will take us also to another poll. I was wondering if you ever had any requests for recording emergency messages. I don't know, maybe we should take a look at that and the results as well.
Yeah, we certainly do.
Yeah, so we are asking a poll, which is, do you change your IVR in emergency situations? We've got yes, sometimes, or no. So obviously this is, you know, COVID-19 related, or as Fernando was mentioning about hurricane. I know that at a previous company I actually recorded when there was a big, when the snow stopped us getting to work. So yes, what have you seen? So We've got 161 people voting. Last few seconds to get everybody to vote. And I will share the results. So 75% of people saying yes, 20% of people saying sometimes, and 4% of people saying no. Fernando, was that what you were hoping to see?
Yes, I was. I guess it wasn't a complete surprise there. I was aiming for a high yes.
Fab. So I will make you the presenter again. Great. Thank you.
So, of course, Power DMS could have also used the IVR to encourage customers to use a digital channel for a potentially faster response time, or even to direct to self-service information like a knowledge base on a website. And that's exactly what this next customer of ours just did. Illuminate Education have found themselves in a difficult situation, also due to the current epidemic, and they also had to quickly shift their entire staff to a work-from-home environment. Their SaaS product supports schools all over the United States, and they had a particular product where they had a spike of support calls in a certain region. So essentially what they did was once again leverage their IVR to create a message letting their customers know about the web resources that were available in the case if they didn't want to stay on the phone. So this is a really good example of how to use the IVR to deflect customers as needed, especially in times where contact centers are grappling with increased workloads. We spoke a little bit also about this. Customers' tolerance for queues is certainly reduced, but bottom line, what we all want to avoid is abandonment, obviously. Another customer whose story I would like to share is full service customer experience solutions provider in the BPO industry, UMash. In the recent conversation we had, they shared how they are able to adapt their IVRs as they outsource services to a number of different customers from disparate industries, all with distinct use cases for many different verticals. So in their case, what was critical for them was to have a multitude of different options to be paired directly with the IVR, so they could more easily adapt to the different customers' operations. So things like traffic splitters to evenly distribute inbound traffic through Teams, automatic error checking to double check whether a call flow has any interruption that may affect the call experience, or just a CRM data dip, just to name a few. But overall, and for them, for this specific customer, the variety of options for pairing their IVR with was absolutely critical. So I guess this is where we stand today. A time of unprecedented challenges for contact centers, but a time where having an IVR that delivers, one that is properly equipped with best-of-breed technologies, is absolutely critical for business continuity. I bet even the great Alexander Bell would be proud to see how far we've all come and what we have achieved to provide businesses with a truly modern IVR. And just before I go, I would like to invite everyone to register for our CX Business Continuity Month, where in the aftermath of our yearly event Open Talk, we will be distributing a series of on-demand sessions, kind of a Netflix style, where you can learn a whole lot more about our vision for contact centers and some of our latest products, including what we consider our own modern IVR. So thank you. And please reach out if you have any questions.
Fab, thank you very much for that, Fernando. We're actually going to ask people if they would like to receive a demonstration of the TalkDesk solution. So if I just share that poll. Thank you very much. Some great takeaways from your presentation. I think for me, the biggest change from when IVR was introduced to now is what surrounds it. So the technology solutions. I really liked every moment is an experience that matters. So it's all about the customer experience. And make your IVR adaptable as your customers have changed. You know, don't want it to just be the same as it always was. So thank you very much. So going back over to our top tips, lots still flying through. So yeah, thanks everybody. So Nigel said, also don't say, did you know you can visit our website? So annoying, most get phone number from the website. Steve, this was something you said in the opposite way.
Yeah, I suppose it works both ways. Yeah, if somebody has picked up the phone, then it depends. Again, it's about customizing the call queues for that type of inquiry, so it won't be relevant on all call queues. It's about presenting it in the right way.
Yeah. So Seema said, we script all IVR messages to keep a record of them and have version control each time these are updated, so as we have a history to refer back to at any time. Fernando, what are your thoughts on this?
That really is a good practice to be ensured, because also it makes it easier overall to manage. You never know when, okay, today we are responding to an emergency situation, but then we want to go back and have that really good message that brought us so good results that we had before, and maybe even working on fine-tuning it again. So having that history and the ability of picking them up again if necessary is a really good tip, that one.
Yeah. So we've had a question in saying, what are your thoughts on IVR that requires you to say the answer? Steve, I don't know whether you wanted to take that one.
I think I'll take the safe option. I'll say being able to do both. So input via the keypad, or say your responses, is the safest way to do it, because if you're in a noisy environment such as an airport or a shopping centre, and you're on say you're calling an airline and you're in an airport, you've got lots of background noise. If the system can't understand you and you've only got speech recognition, that's not a great customer experience. That's going to really frustrate the caller. I don't know what Fernando would say.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I think obviously it all depends a little bit on the kind of experience companies are trying to provide their customers with. But I guess that the key here, and to be able to serve customers with a self-service capability that is based on speech recognition, is making sure that that speech recognition is a really good one. I can only speak for hours, and it's a really good one. So I guess it all comes to that when having to make the choice.
Yeah, I've definitely used ones that just don't understand me, and it is very frustrating.
Yes, that's the key.
So Laura sent in a tip saying, keep a record of what changes you make and when, so you can later analyze the data to see how or if it affected call metrics, so transfers, abandoned calls, etc. So Grant sent in a question saying, what's your view about using speech recognition technology to provide a better CX? Fernando, I don't know what your thoughts are.
Well, I mean, again, speaking for our products and our own capabilities, we have invested strongly in the past few years in our artificial intelligence capabilities. So that's why I was saying that our speech recognition capabilities are really top notch. And so I am safe to say that you can easily put together an entire experience that is based only on voice. You can do that. We have customers that are doing that. So they are relying on those capabilities to provide the experiences where their customers don't even have to touch, the numbers, the touchpads. So they do it all through voice, and it's really effective. But overall, I think it's a good thing also to give the possibility of switching whenever a customer wants to input directly. So having the two options, I would say it's a good thing. But again, it all depends a little bit on the kind of industry.
Yeah. So Laura sent in a tip saying we've added a priority message to the front end of our IVR where we can quickly add a message when there is something causing a spike in the calls. For example, if some part of our website isn't working, or we can easily remove it when it isn't needed. It's been very handy with the COVID-19 messaging to introduce new FAQs we've created. Steve, I'm sure that would be something you'd definitely recommend.
Yeah, we build in what we term as an alert message into all of the call flow designs that we create for customers for that exact reason. So it could be issues with the website, issues with delivery, or COVID-19, but having that placeholder where there doesn't have to always be a message, but you've got that ability to quickly update it, is a great idea. That's really good.
Yeah, and I'm guessing if it's also like, oh, we know that there's a blackout in this area, please don't worry. If people are ringing up to find out why their power's gone off, you can quickly get rid of a lot of those calls that might come through the call center.
Yeah, exactly.
So Ryan's asked, would you consider taking advantage of the caller's time in the queue by including a survey in the IVR? I think we've discussed this one. Fernando, I don't know what your thoughts are.
I would say so, as long as that survey is something that kind of provides value both ways. In a way, the provider or who is giving the survey could really fetch some important data to improve their operation, but also to make sure that the customer feels it's contributing for for the future experiences being improved. So I think it's a match. It has to be kind of a win-win situation. Yeah.
Yeah. And Steve, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'd agree with what Fernando said there. I think there's got to be some benefit for the caller as well as you as an organisation. But yeah, it's a good idea in principle.
So Kerry sent in a tip saying having a pre-built trapdoor on an IVR, usually front end, allows for better agility and can be used to channel callers to more information, deflection or otherwise, perfect for cases of emergency that can often increase demand beyond workforce capabilities. Pre-building this feature reduces reaction time. So we've had a tip in from Julie saying record emergency messages ahead of time so that you can easily insert them in your IVR when needed. Preparation and anticipation will help ease the situation when a crisis comes up. Yeah, Steve, I'm sure, would that be something you'd recommend? Yeah,
that's something that we always recommend, and we do for clients. Is we look at different scenarios based on the industry that they're in and any challenges that they might face. We have a client who's near London Bridge, and a few times they've had to evacuate due to certain circumstances locally. So obviously we've pre-recorded messages for that use.
Yeah. And we've had a question in from Seema saying, how do you decide the content of your scripts and call routing? Fernando, I don't know whether you wanted to have a quick response.
Well, I guess it will depend on the goal for the which direction do we want to direct our callers. I believe that is the key, and because there's so many things you can be doing in an IVR product such as ours, for instance. You have many components that you can choose. You can either try to send the callers to a VIP team who is taking only care of those specific customers, and I do think that the script should match that objective of where do you want to either deflect or redirect. So I would say it is like that.
Brilliant. Well, unfortunately, we've reached the top of the hour, so I'd like to ask if everyone could write in 1 or 2 words, what did you like best about the webinar today in the chat room? Today's winning tip comes from Laura51, who says, keep your options as simple as possible. We recently moved from giving customers specific options like for help with signing in, billing, questions, etc., to just for customer service, and we are seeing calls routing to the correct queue more often. So well done, we'll be in touch after the webinar. Just a reminder, we do have our own survey. If you could fill it in, it's only 4 questions long and just helps improve our webinars. Just a reminder, we are doing we have taken a recording, of today's webinar, and that will be available later on this afternoon on callcenterhelper.com/recorded-webinars. So just a reminder, we are back next week with our contact center transformation ideas. But I would just like to say thank you very much to our 2 speakers today, to Steve Hindley from iNarrator and IVR Recordings. Thank you very much for your presentation today.
Thanks very much for having me along. It's been great fun.
Brilliant. And to Fernando Santos from TalkDesk, thank you also for your great presentation.
Thank you, Rachel. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Fab, and we will see you all next week, I hope. So thank you very much. Bye, everyone.